Rivers around the globe are as mysterious as the deep, dark oceans. They're home to some incredibly diverse animals and plants. People have often discovered some pretty bizarre and shocking things in the rivers, especially in the remote regions. In today's video, we'll show you some of the most mind-blowing things discovered in these freshwater bodies, so make sure to watch till the end and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Huge Maine lobster. In the state of Maine, a handful of fishermen managed to catch a massive female lobster. The largest lobster they have ever captured was over a pound in weight and as long as his arm. On its back were tens of thousands of tiny eggs. Moreover, the lobster was released together with some treats because large lobsters are really uncommon. According to legend, each female lobster can contain 10,000 eggs per pound. Thus, if this lobster weighs 7 to 8 pounds, it might have about 70,000 to 80,000 eggs. Sunken land started rising. This strange clip of land rising above the water quite suddenly went viral online recently. The online community has been discussing this video for all the right reasons. The bizarre scene was filmed by a bystander in India. He probably freaked out watching the submerged land from the riverbed rise above the water and abruptly collapse. It rose a good few feet above the water's surface. People have put forth all sorts of theories about this weird incident, including climate change, an earthquake and trapped methane below the ground that might have started rising. But despite all the speculations, no one has been able to come up with a reliable explanation for this. Crocodile attacked cheetah. Who would have thought that vicious reptiles can actually overpower and take down the fastest feline on Earth? Well, this crocodile has proven that it's very much possible. This video shows the shocking moments in which an unfortunate cheetah was just drinking water from the wrong place at the wrong time. The clip was filmed during a live safari. It was unaware of the crocodile lingering nearby as it quenched its thirst. Without sparing a moment, the crocodile lunged at the cheetah, trapped it between its strong jaws, and dragged it into the water. Japanese giant. Also known as the third largest amphibian in the entire world, the Japanese giant salamander is a strange creature that's often regarded as the river guardian. It looks a lot like a huge fish from afar, but it actually has two hands. The animal can weigh up to 55 pounds and grow up to almost 5 feet in length. Japanese giant salamanders live on both land and water. The creepy amphibious monster is naturally hostile, and overpowering it is not an easy task. Today, the species is considered endangered, mainly due to rapid habitat loss, but the Japanese authorities are trying to preserve the remaining salamanders. However, the ancient species has managed to survive, apparently, for the last 20 million years, which means the Japanese giant salamanders are believed to be some of the oldest animals on the planet. Fish in a whale. A whale unintentionally beached itself on the Mexican shore while engaged in a vigorous pursuit of its prey. The villagers then discovered something in the whale's mouth as they struggled to keep it submerged in water. Its mouth was strangely occupied by a large fish. The whale unintentionally beached itself while attempting to grab its prey, according to a local marine researcher. The whale was hauled back into the sea while being roped to boats with the aid of a fisherman after putting in numerous hours. Huge anaconda. This incredibly large anaconda emerged out of the water while these people were out on a cruise in the Amazon River in Brazil. The tourists realized the massive snake was swimming alongside their boat in the murky water. It seemed like the anaconda had already consumed a large creature, so it wasn't hungry and swam away from the frightened tourists and their boat. One extremely brave man grabbed the snake by its tail and dragged it across the river for a while, but it eventually freed itself and swam away. Nightmare fuel. Lamprey eels are regarded as the vampires of the rivers. They're parasitic fish that don't possess jaws, instead they have mouths with rows upon rows of razor-sharp teeth. The fisherman in a river captured a lamprey eel, and what it did next horrified the entire world. The eel looked scary and was a lot bigger than the ones usually seen. The head of this lamprey eel was bigger than the fisherman's fist. Because of this exceptional size, the fish is probably one of the scariest things to ever come out of a river. It almost looks like a deadly alien ready to suck out the blood of anyone who comes in its way. Strangest looking fish. It's possible that a fish with this appearance is a previously unidentified species that was just caught. A large, strange-looking fish was captured in Colombia in February 2019 while fishing after being tangled in the line. It had a very unusual appearance. From its fins, tails, and haphazard spines to the entire structure of its body, its exterior skin was covered with bone-like shards all throughout, and it had fur-like material covering its eyes and lips. However, it was decided to let go of the fish and return it to the sea because of its rarity and unfamiliarity. Crocodile with a tire necklace. A huge cash prize was announced back in 2016 for anyone who would be willing to help free this crocodile. It happened in Indonesia when this endangered Siamese crocodile was seen with a rubber tire stuck around its neck. The animal was visibly in distress, and people think it had been trapped with the tire for more than 5 years. The wildlife officials were worried that the growing crocodile might soon become too big for the tire and die of strangulation. After numerous attempts, the tire was finally cut off and the crocodile's neck was freed. Afterwards, it was released back into the water. Bogged in time. Researchers and archaeologists have discovered numerous priceless artifacts from the bogs of northern Europe in the last 2,000 years. From sacrificial tools and weapons to human remains, all sorts of weird and unexpected things have been recovered from these bogs. One such thing discovered from a bog was the mummified remains of a man. These were found by workers cleaning a drainage trench in the bog. The skin of the man was well preserved and had become leathery because of the conditions of the marsh, but his bones had calcified normally. He'd been named the Old Crawling Man, and experts believe there might be more like him buried deep in the marshes of Europe. The man has probably been in the bog for centuries, and so far the circumstances surrounding his death are not known, although some experts think that he might have been killed as part of a ritual human sacrifice that was performed by Celtic kings. Giant manta ray. Other fortunate fishermen struck the jackpot after making a significant discovery in 2020, giving Indian fisherman Subhash Sala the opportunity of a lifetime. 2 enormous manta rays, one weighing 750 kilograms and the other more than 250 kilograms, were trapped in a large haul. The fisherman disclosed that he went deep-sea fishing at Mangalore Rock off the Lampre port on the Karnataka coast in order to make the enormous catch. At the harbour, a great audience gathered to see the rays being hoisted by cranes. These enormous manta rays, which may be transported for a lucrative price, are known to be an endangered species. Strange creature of Brune. One of the unidentified creatures that have baffled biologists around the world was captured on camera back in 2017. It was spotted swimming in a river in Brunei. The strange creature had an oddly shaped toothy snout and emerged from the river like a regular alligator. It was seen swimming across the river, and the person who filmed the video thinks it's a mutated gar, but scientists have speculated that it could be a new species. Swamp people. The Gulf of Morbihan in France has been attracting attention because of all the strange swamp people standing in the swamp. It's actually an art exhibit that reflects our bittersweet relationship with nature. These sculptures you see aren't ugly mummified swamp creatures that were frozen in time. Initially there were just 2 of these sculptures, but now there are several. The colours and textures of these Gothic statues change and evolve over time because of the organic environment. This means that visitors can actually affect the figures, and if they return after a few years, they might not look the same. Fish swimming without a body. This strange creature in the footage isn't a new species. It was found by a fisherman in the waters of the Maldives. 90% of its body was missing, and yet it can be seen swimming quite normally. The fish must be in a lot of pain, and many think it was able to function because its brain was still alive somehow. It truly is a fighter. Two-headed catfish. This two-headed catfish may sound fake, but it's very much real. This little two-headed catfish was discovered in November 2022. It's incredibly rare for something like this to happen, as animals born with such mutations usually die immediately after birth, but this catfish with a fully grown head where its tail is supposed to be truly defied all the odds. The creature was alive and could be seen wriggling in the footage. Prehistoric fish trapped in a fence. It's not every day you discover an ancient creature trapped in a fence. An explorer found this mind-blowing sight around 8 years ago in Texas. He was assessing the damage caused by a hurricane after the flood water had receded. That's when he saw this 3-foot-long fish resembling a dinosaur stuck in the fence. Its body was covered in scales, and later it was found that the fish was a juvenile long-nosed gar. It probably tried swimming past the fence during the flood, but got stuck instead. Theogenic Madness. In this footage you can see the aerial footage of a river in Australia. The bubbling in the water is caused by natural methane gas that bubbles up to the surface. It's actually a pretty common occurrence in swamps where the gas can be seen rising from the dark waters. Bog gas is actually one of the largest sources of natural methane in the atmosphere, and swamps produce billions of tons of methane each year. But one needs to be very careful when the gas is bubbling out, as it is highly flammable. This man probably didn't know that, so when he lit up a match he actually set fire to the river's surface. Lighting methane coming out of a river on fire is not a good idea, and you don't know how big the methane resource is. Headless fish. This fisherman in the clip is actually holding a headless fish in his hand. But why is it wriggling like that if it doesn't have a head? The trout can be clearly seen twisting back and forth. No one knows whether the fish had already been beheaded when it was captured, or was the fisherman the one doing this to the poor creature. You know why the fish is twitching despite being decapitated? Tell us in the comment section. Eyeless creature. A Malaysian fisherman captured this ghoulish-looking creature back in 2016. He had no idea what it was, so he filmed a video and posted it online for answers. The weird fish had no eyes, scales, or fangs. Nothing like it had been witnessed before. It was named the deep-sea oddity. Marine biologists claim that it is a mud-dwelling sea creature called an eel goby. Secret underwater river. Even the thought of a river running underwater is ridiculous, but it's actually a real thing. A small stream in the Yucatan Peninsula runs independently from the rest of the water surrounding it. It's called the Cenote Angelita, and at its deepest point, this weird underwater river lies almost 300 feet below the surface. Divers often swim down here to explore the mesmerizing landscape. There are trees lining the riverbeds. Almost 83 feet below the surface, a dense hydrogen sulfide cloud starts to form and creates the extraordinary river. No one could have imagined this mysterious relationship between fresh and saline water under the surface, but we never know what nature has in store for us. Skeleton of mermaid. What you discover in the water might not always be to your taste. An unidentified source recorded a video of what appears to be a real decaying mermaid skeleton that was discovered on a beach while trying to catch some little fish in the sea. These little bones were found alongside a human-like head and tail bones, which were picked up out of curiosity and discarded as soon as they were aware of their true nature. There is a high likelihood that this was a juvenile mermaid that perished in some way, or was maybe consumed by an apex predator. Many people believe that this may be a fake. Others believe it's quite trustworthy. Water vampires. Recently, it was discovered that humans aren't the only species capable of being blood-sucking vampires. A fish species that inhabits the Amazon basin has been named the vampire fish. They can grow up to 3 feet in length, and their enormous sharp teeth can give anyone nightmares. The fish are actually unable to close their mouths and are naturally cannibalistic. The vampire fish will eat almost anything that crosses their path. Unfortunately, they don't drain the blood of their prey like the vampires mentioned in human folklore, but the ghostly species looks terrifying enough to dry up anyone's blood. Their average fang length is 6 inches and can easily pierce human flesh. Leech horrors. Leeches have been known to humans since ancient times. We all know about them, but we all hope to never come across them. The rivers around the world contain countless terrifying species of leeches. This species you see in the footage was rediscovered in the Amazon basin. Experts thought it had been extinct for a long time, but now it's back. The monstrous leech can grow up to 18 inches in length. It feeds exclusively on blood. These huge leeches could scare the wits out of the bravest people. Cyclops albino shark. These types of animals would undoubtedly increase people's dread of sharks. An incredibly unusual capture obtained by a Mexican fisherman in the Sea of Cortez was a single-eyed albino Cyclops shark. He came across a pregnant shark while fishing after it became entangled in a line and had its fetus ripped apart. The fisherman examined the remnants and found this strange-looking shark with only one eye in the front. Marine researchers examined the discovery and proclaimed it to be the first of its type to be officially validated. The origin of the discovery was attributed to the sea's quick rise in pollution. Ancient swamp statue. Russian miners discovered a mystery wooden figure while they were draining a marsh in 1894. The statue has become one of the most exceptional finds of human history. The strange-looking idol is reportedly twice as old as the Giza pyramids. The intriguing figure was crafted almost 12,000 years ago, but no one knows much about the origins or history of the statue. Experts think it might represent a supernatural being that was worshipped by an extinct culture. It's been named the Shiger Idol and is regarded as the oldest wooden monument in the world. It was apparently built somewhere around the end of the Ice Age. Largest Caribbean lobster. Now there's a catch for an unlimited buffet. While conducting their customary hunt for a catch, local fishermen in the Caribbean off the coast of Mano Pabu, Puerto Rico, came across a lobster that was so enormous that even they were taken aback. This lobster required many large, strong guys to drag it ashore and transport it to the fish market because of its weight. One of the fishermen claims that they caught the largest known lobster in the nation, which they then sold for a profit of 10 years' wages. Although the majority of people don't think this is true, it certainly seems to be. Sinking away. Sinkholes are pretty frightening. If you don't believe us, check out this footage of a massive sinkhole opening and swallowing everything that came in its path. This giant sinkhole popped open in a Louisiana river due to rapid river erosion, which removed the trees from the riverbank. This erosion has rendered this marsh as one of the deadliest in the entire state. This sinkhole continued to expand and kept emitting toxic gases that are polluting the surrounding area too. The sinkhole is now beyond 25 acres in size and is still not slowing down. It's continuously growing and making the area uninhabitable. Fisherman hit jackpot. More than just fish and whales can occasionally be found in the water. For example, a Yemeni fisherman struck it rich when he discovered a whale that was dead with a 127-kilogram chunk of ambergris within its gut, a material that is utilized to stabilize the aroma of perfumes and is referred to as floating gold. Normally, these fishermen barely make ends meet, but after selling the ambergris to an Amaretti businessman for more than $1.5 million, they're now able to live well. Despite the size of this payment, the fishermen won't be giving up their jobs anytime soon. Bearhead stuck in jar. This beautiful footage of an animal rescue won hearts all across the world. The poor bear cub had somehow gotten its head stuck in a plastic jar. Fortunately, a family fishing on the lake spotted the cub struggling to breathe and swim. They took their boat closer to the animal and one person leaned over to grab the jar and free the cub after several attempts. The bear cub, relieved to have been saved, swam back to the shore. Giant marlin head. Ultimate Fishing Channel posted this footage back in 2006. It's the footage of one of the most bewildering sights. A group of anglers were trying to reel in a massive black marlin bouncing above the water's surface. Suddenly, the fish pulled free from the line and started splashing its bill on the water. It struggled for a bit, then disappeared. A few minutes after that, the group pulled something out of the water and were shocked to see it was the giant head of the 1,000-pound marlin. Cow stuck in the tree. Small animals often get stuck in trees, but this video posted 2 years ago shows a huge cow stuck in a tree. Two men standing in the water can be seen trying to rescue the animal. It got stuck in a tree a few meters above the ground during a heavy flood. Luckily, a rescue crew discovered the poor animal and using a chainsaw, they cut the branches around it and freed the cow. Shark rescued. While doing research close to a river, a marine biologist spotted a shark. The animal was stranded in the tall, scaly grass. It may have ended up there because of the high water currents. The 3-foot-long male juvenile bonnet head shark was struggling to survive, but the brave marine biologist saved its life. She rescued the shark and put it back in the water. Horned crocodile. In 2019, a team of researchers was looking for the remains of an extinct crocodile species that vanished around 2,000 years ago. They finally found it in a flooded underground cave. They discovered the skull of a horned crocodile of Madagascar. It's considered the earliest relative of the Nile crocodile. The horned crocodile had remained forgotten for around 2,000 years. The team took the skull to their research center to extract DNA and analyze it in detail. Giant sturgeon. The monstrous 716-pound fish shocked everyone who saw it when it was caught by a Chinese fisherman back in May 2018. The huge sturgeon was around 10 feet long. It was identified as a female Kaluga sturgeon. Experts think it was at least 100 years old. The prehistoric monster was taken to the local department for research and analysis. It was kept alive there in a huge pool. After studying it in detail, the locals released the animal back into its natural habitat. Faceless fish. This bizarre fish has been spotted for the first time in 100 years. The faceless fish with no eyes and a mouth underneath its body was found by an underwater scientific expedition team. The expeditions were carried out in previously unexplored parts of Australia's waters. At first, the experts thought that the two reddish spots on its head were the nostrils. It's considered an entirely new species, and this faceless fish is the only specimen humanity has found. Therefore, the fish was transported to a research center in an icebox for analysis. Sea lions charge on a net to eat fish. As you can see in the video, hundreds if not thousands of sea lions just invaded this net the fishermen had laid out to catch fish, but these uber-smart animals knew how to score free food and they took advantage of the opportunity. It seemed like one had seen the tons of fish all together and fetched all the sea lions it could find. They attacked the net and you can see them devour the fish. These noises they're making are probably happy sounds, showing how satiated they are after the meal. We're glad that someone was smart enough to film this rare sight, and even better that they uploaded it on the internet, because these are the kinds of incredible incidents that just make your day. We hope you enjoyed this video and are as thankful as we are that someone managed to film these epic moments. That was all about some of the most shocking river and swamp discoveries. Tell us in the comments which one you found the most frightening. We'll be back soon with more amazing stories from around the world. Until then, have a great time and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.